David, why am I on the screen? Oh, there are people watching. Hi, my name's Moira Rose from The Crows Have Eyes 3. And Josh couldn't be here today, so I'm here in his place to do the skull ranking book tag. Okay, so why am I doing this? Because I wanted to do this ranking, this skull ranking book tag, which is basically where I rank all the books I read this year, or all the scary-ish books I read this year by how scary they are. The idea is you take the mysteries and the thrillers, and I'm also taking the horror books, even though it wasn't part of the original tag, and you rank them in the tier ranking by how scary they are using like 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 skulls. This was created by Reed from Lock Petition for Black Halloween, who incidentally is doing a live right now, so I don't know if I actually get anybody right now. The only reason I'm really doing this live was because I wanted to wait until the end of the month where I had read as many new books as possible, and also because this is a great thing to do for Halloween, and I thought it would be a lot of fun. Now, before I move forward, I don't want this to last too long. If people show up and ask questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but this is mostly just an easy way of recording this tag. But this costume is a piece of shit. I got this wig, and I meant to get hopefully a dress and like a fancy necklace or something to make it some aesthetic, but that did not work out. I was really poor this month because I ended up buying too many books for my birthday. So all I got is this barb shirt and this gray wig that doesn't really look like anything Moira did, but hopefully I got the voice right. I know I don't. Don't tell me that. It's a little early for character assassination. Okay, but seriously, I see somebody's actually watching, so you can rewind if you want to see the intro. This is Skull Ranking Book Tag. I'm just going to move forward with ranking all the books I've read this year by how scary they are, is the point of this tag. The idea is to make this as much like a regular video as possible. So hopefully not too long of a video. Skull Ranking Book Tag. No, it's not what I wanted. Let's open up the tab. Okay, hopefully y'all can see this. Okay, so I'm just going to go through these. I have nearly 50 books here to rank, and hopefully I'll only have like 30 seconds per book. So let's keep going. Let's just go at it. I mean, the first one I'm going to be doing is Zone 1, and this is a zombie book by Colson Whitehead. I read this for the Literally Dead Book Club, and this was more literary than I would have liked. I do think it definitely got to the ominous to disturbing tone. If I liked it more, I might be more inclined to give it disturbing, but it definitely was ominous, although I don't think I ever followed enough to give it disturbing. I don't have time to try and think about it too much. Pines. Pines, if I'm not going to give Zone 1 disturbing, I'm not going to give Pines disturbing, but it definitely was ominous. It's a thriller book by Blake Crouch, and it's sort of a sci-fi type weird story about this guy who goes to this town, doesn't understand what's going on, is disconnected from the rest of society, and it's really unnerving, at least to an extent. It's not really a horror story, though. Okay, next, Shining Girls by Lauren Bukes, I think. This was technically a horror, sci-fi, time travel, and I did like this. I think I gave it 4 stars. It is about a serial killer who travels through time to kill people, and it's also a period piece because it's primarily set in the 80s and 90s, and I did like it. I didn't love it as much as I would have liked, and I wouldn't say it's particularly scary. It's definitely ominous. I feel like I'm going to have a lot of ominous here because a lot of these I would consider not scary. Actually, I don't remember. Like, some of the murders are pretty disturbing, so I guess I'll give it disturbing. I'll check if there are any comments. I have 2 people watching. Wow. Let's keep going. So next will be Dracula, another book that I didn't love, but the scenes that had Dracula were horrifying, but a lot of it I felt like was lacking him. I mean, it was definitely ominous at the entirety of the book, but I felt like a lot of it could have used more him. So I'm just going to go with scary because it definitely was scary. The Troop was seriously disturbing. Was it scary? No. This is like about like an infection on an island with a bunch of teens, like Boy Scouts. Station 11 is a thriller that I reread this year, dystopian, and it is not really scary. It is a sort of a thriller mystery, which is why I included it. But it's a little ominous. I mean, it's pretty dark. I mean, like the majority of people die because of the pandemic, and the world has to start over. But that's that. Okay, now all the people's lights have gone off. This is one of the books that I just read this week, so thank God I waited to do this tag. Stephen Graham Jones is fantastic. Some of the stories I struggle with, I get confused, and it's hard to get scared if you're confused. But it's definitely scary. The question is if it's horrifying. There's at least one story in here that I read before in another collection, but it's like a rehash of Stephen King's The Man in the Black Suit, which is basically the devil, and he comes to a book club and where they're talking about the Stephen King story, and it's sorry, I'm just heard a noise, and it's a little weird. I'm just gonna go scary because I'm hovering too much on this one. I don't have time for it. Now it's not letting go. A Head Full of Ghosts. Now this one, it's definitely scary. I read this back in May, but I am going to give it horrifying, even though it's not strictly supernatural, which is what I like to go with and what I find really terrifying, even though I don't believe in the supernatural. But it is a story essentially about demonic possession, except it's in the vein of The Yellow Wallpaper or The Haunting of Hill House, because you don't quite know if it's real or not. But I think what really made it horrifying for me was that I was reading it or listening to the audiobook while biking at night by myself. And this was early in the pandemic where I was still getting used to the idea of biking alone at night. So it was the perfect setup to make it a horrifying book for me. Welcome to Night Vale. Welcome to Night Vale. This was a weird book that lacked a story, lacked a plot, but it definitely got pretty dark. It really went heavy into the Lovecraftian in a way that I did like. So I'll give it, I don't know. It doesn't really deserve disturbing, but it is pretty ominous. No, I'm going to give it disturbing because it is at times disturbing in its absurdity. Lovecraft and this one was heavy in the Lovecraft and Carter. It's like a detective thing where it's kind of like, if you read or watched the TV show Lovecraft Country, except on way worse. Not scary at all. I'm going to put it there. Even though it technically is, I think, a horror book. I also didn't love it. Damn it. Stupid. Okay, Lovecraft Country. A book that I was really hoping to be more scary. The Lovecraft side of it was not at all scary. The scariest part about this really was the Jim Crow era laws. So I would give it between disturbing and ominous. Maybe I'll lean with disturbing. I don't know. Maybe I feel like this show definitely probably does the supernatural side or the Lovecraftian side better. But like I said, the side with the race is the scariest part. But I'll give it disturbing. Why not? I gave Lovecraft Country. Oh, my stupid mouse isn't working. Okay, Girls on Fire. This is a thriller, which I wouldn't consider it scary at all. I don't know why I included them here, just because that was the criteria that Bree from Lockpetition made when she did this. The Guild of Stories, which was the story I literally just finished like 20 minutes before I opened this here. And I really like this story, let's be clear. This is a queer vampire story about a black queer woman vampire. And it reminds me of so many different books. Fledgling, which came before Fledgling, as well as Wild Seed. And it spans generations. And it definitely is ominous, but it never gets really scary. I don't think it's supposed to be. It reminded me a lot of actually, what am I trying to say here? The Vampire Chronicles, Interview with the Vampire, except it did not get nearly as dark. But then again, it wasn't trying to do. It was a much more positive, or should I say, not even positive per se. It's much more, the character is a good person, showing that you can be a vampire and still be good. While Interview with the Vampire is, you have some really complex, mostly morally dark, morally gray at best characters. And so I didn't really lean heavily into the horror side of what I would consider scary. Ghost Story is a story I haven't finished because I started it and didn't much care for it, but I'm still working on it. Hopefully finish it tonight, actually. I want to go for it on a bike ride on Halloween. And this is a 1970 something story from Peter Straub. The writing is fine. It's just, the setup is like following a group of old white men who tell stories of what they think they saw ghosts. And there's individual stories, almost like novellas, and they are really terrifying. But as a whole, they don't come together very well. But I think that's mostly because I don't like the story, not because of the story itself isn't at parts scary. But at the same time, the majority of the story is just scary, and the moments of really being horrifying is yet to really, really happen. So I'm going to give it a solid scare. Are there any people here? Oh, there are comments. Hi, Josh. Hi, hey everyone. I agree. What's horrifying? Oh, I guess I'll show this. Take a pause. I think I'm making good time. 10 minutes and a lot of books. Oh, hey, Daryl. Thanks for being here. I agree. I keep hearing about A Head Full of Ghosts. I've heard mixed reviews, right? And I know at least Books and Lala, I know I paid a lot of attention to, did not think it was very scary. But I like supernatural scary, especially like the mesh between, what do you call it? The psychological that could be supernatural. And again, I was biking. I'm also considering A Head Full of Ghosts. See, a lot of people are considering A Head Full of Ghosts. I have never read this book, kind of books before. Get some wine. I don't know if you saw my intro, but I am Moira Rose of The Crows Have Eyes 3. I didn't have much to go with except for this wig and this girlish top. Let's go back. I am still sharing a comment. Okay, where were we? Okay, The Battle of Black Tom. This one I loved. Was it horrifying? I don't remember it being horrifying. I read it back in February, but it was definitely scary, and it definitely did a much more effective job of using Lovecraft in a terrifying way, in a way that these others, what am I trying to say? Lovecraft Country, Welcome to Night Vale, and Lovecraft Country did not. Absolutely love that book. It's a novella, actually. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I had so many different feelings about this coming up to reading it. When I read it, I actually loved it, but I thought it was going to be a ghost story, and it is a sort of ghost story, but I don't know. I would say it's definitely ominous. Is it ever disturbing? I don't think so. I never found it or found du Maurier going into the realm which he was trying to actively scare us, but it's always very ominous. And I mean, it's the Gothic tone, right? And I think it worked really well. Dark Matter, yeah, multiverse, love it. It is a thriller that I reread this year. Does it deserve to be called scary? No, not at all. Woman in Cabin 10. This one a lot of people hated, but I kind of liked. It was an easy, fun read. But I would say it's never really scary, but it definitely gets unnerving or kind of ominous. So I'd give it mildly scary. Frankenstein in Baghdad. This one was a story that I struggled to connect with, but it's a whole live for this. Go back and check it out. I guess I would give it ominous, but it didn't really scare me a lot. I think there's a conversation to be had about what is scary, and there was one person in the comments for that live talking about how horror in is it Afghanistan, I believe, or somewhere in the Middle East, wherever the story is set, in Baghdad, is different. A different type of horror, and what they consider horror scary is different, which I think is a valid argument that it's worth having. Her Body and Other Parties. I enjoyed this one, and I read it back in March, so it was quite a while back. But I would say it ventures into being a little disturbing. It deals a lot with feminist ideas. Oh, fuck shit. Did not expect this to happen. Hope I don't lose everything. Come on. Son of a gun. Really quick, we'll have to... come on. Latest tier ranking, is this it? Please be it. Please still be alive. Nope. I'm going to go try this one more time. Son of a biscuit. Also, it cuts a lot. Thank the gods, it's still there. We're alive. We're alive. We're okay. Okay. Where were we? We're making good time, I think. 15 minutes. Are we halfway? I think I have about 15 books. Maybe I should go a bit faster. I have plans at 7, so it can't last longer than that. Virtual plans. The Gone what? I don't remember what this is called. The Gone Girl, The Gone World. I want to say it's The Gone World. It's another time travel horror story. And this is one that really I could not connect with, unfortunately. It's about they have spaceships and traveling through time. I think my problem with it was I didn't love the time travel mechanic. And I guess it's sort of like a murder mystery, or something like I don't know if you call it, I would say it's the same vein as The Shining Girls, in the sense that you have this tone of is there a serial killer around? But I don't think it ever gets as disturbing as that. Friday Black. These stories mix of sci-fi and horror. I'm trying to think about it. I read the short story collection by Noon K. Jemisin, and there was at least one sci-fi story in there which you could call kind of unnerving. But this one, I would say it definitely gets disturbing. There might be some that are kind of scary. It's amazing I was able to use the different concepts. A lot of them have to do with like scary, using race as a major theme, which can be pretty terrifying. And I would put it between these two. I think because I like it so much, I'm just going to bump it up a bit. Maybe that's not fair, but I did love that book. 4.5 stars. Miracle Creek. Not scary at all. Detective, not detective. Legal thriller. I did not get into it. Oh, we should have started Murder Cult, and the author was watching last I checked, by Daryl Grizzy. I like this. I found some of the stories disturbing. I don't remember if they ever got super scary. I did love the ideas. I thought they would have made for fantastic horror films, like the premise of like what could be like a short film or anthology series. So I'm going to give it disturbing. I hope that's enough. I hope I don't upset you, Daryl. Parable of the Sower. I think I chose to include this because I included Station 11. This isn't strictly a thriller. It's a sci-fi dystopia, but it's set in this futuristic world where the world is dying and we have to reshape our society. And I think this is, at the very least, ominous, and for being generous, maybe disturbing, but I think I'm going to go with ominous because this world she set up is definitely unnerving, and just how you survive there is a big question, and it's a fantastic book. My Soul to Keep. Vampires are not vampires. I just read this month, and this is by Tanner Dew. It's a story about these gods who are kind of like vampires, but they're not exactly the same. They don't drink blood. But I see this as more urban fantasy, so it can be kind of ominous because it is a dark story. But I think even saying it's ominous is kind of generous, honestly. Okay, and another one by Tanner Dew. We have Joplin's Ghost. This one I think was a bit scarier than My Soul to Keep. But on the whole, it was more of a period piece. Well, not even a period piece. It was set in the now and also had flashbacks, like between Joplin's Ghost. Like Joplin, the jazz singer, was at least half the plot. Like he was one of the focuses. And there were times in the future where we get a ghost basically of him, and it could be kind of unnerving. I'll give it disturbing. Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackworth, I think, even though I can't say the name. This is another one that felt like urban fantasy. Library in Hell. Never once got scary. And that's one of the reasons I didn't like it. Not because I wanted it to be scary, because it felt like I was reading more of an absurdist take of the situation. Kind of like a Supernatural episode without the scary aspects. Wilder Girls. One that I didn't love as much as everybody else, but I still thought it was a solid book. I think it's like the truth. It's really unnerving in the world. We have like another, I guess, infection type thing. Bunnies, it must be bunnies. Buffy. Okay. Ooh, was this scary? I'll give it disturbing because the things that go on there are pretty weird and in a disturbing way. Let's see where we're at. 5 people still. Cthulhu be praised. Yes, Cthulhu be praised. I didn't lose this shit. Yay, you liked it. Glad. Okay. Let me know if y'all disagree with any of these, if y'all have read them, and your thoughts on whether or not you think that that's a valid ranking. Surrender Your Sons was one I just read, and I may or may not do a queer reading vlog for this, but this was a YA thriller, technically, about a kid who gets taken to a conversion camp. And I guess you can call it ominous, but Jesus, this story didn't work for me, honestly. I never read a story about conversion camps, but I have to imagine they exist. And quite frankly, I thought this one felt like a caricature. Granted, it was YA, so maybe that was why, but I found the situation kind of laughable. So actually, I changed my mind. It does not deserve to be called ominous. It's just not scary at all. I could not take it seriously. 4 Past Midnight, instead of novellas by Stephen King. This was a series of different stories. The Langoliers is among these, and I do remember The Langoliers, even that shitty TV movie that I love, is kind of unnerving. It would be the ominous or disturbing, and I'm trying to think really fast. I'll give it disturbing because some of the ghosts were like had me creeped out when I was biking. The Other People by C.J. Tudor. Was there a supernatural aspect in here? I don't remember. But a girl goes missing and someone suspected. I don't know what happens, but I'll give this an ominous tone. I think that's fair, even though I don't remember a lot. That's one of the things that does stick out. Tone is easy to remember, right? Fly Away, which is like a series of short stories, like dark fantasy. I guess I'll give it ominous. I didn't love this series, that They didn't work for me. It was an arc that I got. Inferno by Ellen Datlow. I don't remember a lot of these stories, and that does not bode well for them, so I'm going to give it ominous. I am sure it was at the very least creepy. So like that's like I am confident it was that much. I don't remember it being more than that though. The Shadows by Alex North. Sure, I'll give it ominous tone. I did not like that story. This wasn't for me. Where was I? Girls Against God. I had such high hopes for this. Not to spoil my wrap up eventually for this month, but it was kind of an artsy take out of a story. It was like a stream of consciousness, and it just was hard to get into. And it was pretty dark and anti-God, which I love, but I'll give it ominous. Actually, no, take it back. I think disturbing is fair. I just had trouble connecting with the story. There were some definitely disturbing thoughts going through this girl's mind and situations, but that story didn't work for me. The Apartment, which was like a wannabe Home Before Dark, a haunted apartment, or one. Actually, I'd say it's a wannabe lock every, not every door. A wannabe ton of a bitch. What do I have? Wannabe turn of the key, where you have this apartment that may or may not be haunted. I did not like this book, but I'll give it ominous. I mean, it's definitely ominous. I just don't know if I ever actually got scared. This is kind of like a gimme category, isn't it? Otherwise, they'd all be in the not scary at all. This is a novella, a horror novella. What was it called? Bottled. I did not like this story, but did I think it was scary? I think I remember it being kind of disturbing, even though I didn't care for it. Home Before Dark. I'll give it disturbing, even though I thought its attempt at horror was pretty. It was like a caricature. It was itself a caricature, kind of like Surrender Your Sons, except I thought, even though I never took it seriously, its attempts at being scary, at invoking these horror themes or tropes, were done pretty well, if not entirely believable. Is that a dichotomy? Maybe. I don't know. Where were we? The Only Good Indians. Again, Stephen Graham Jones. Definitely disturbing. I would say, I think I need to reread this book, but it's between disturbing and scary. I don't know. I need audience commentaries. Anybody read this book yet this year? Or it just came out like last month or earlier this month. Maybe it was September, actually. I got an arc for it. The Only Good Indians. What was it? Scary. Shit. Fuck it. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt because it's Stephen Graham Jones. Look at me giving you definitive recommendations here. Clearly, I know what I'm talking about. Guillermo del Toro's The Hollow Ones. This reminded me of, what would you call it? That book by Stephen King. It's right there. The Outsiders. Taken into account, I didn't love The Outsiders, but it was like this detective story about this monster they're trying to hunt down that seems kind of aloof. I would give it definitely ominous, but was it disturbing? I can't give it disturbing. Nothing about it stands out of remembering it being disturbing, but I would say it's between that line of ominous to disturbing. No, maybe. No, God damn it. I don't know. I'm going to leave it. The Brightlands by John Fram. This one was really good. I read this as an arc, and I was worried it wouldn't work for me because I always struggle with e-arcs as an audio, but I'll give it scary. I kind of wanted to read it this year. It's a queer, what is that? I should tell you. It is a queer story about, that's all I told you. It's about this story about this man who is gay and he wants to escape his hometown in Texas because it's very homophobic. And then he comes back because his younger brother seems to be struggling mentally or in school. I'm not quite sure. And then a series of events start happening and some dark shit happens. And it was, I think I remember hearing it being described as Stephen King. If Stephen King wrote about Grindr, it'd be sort of this. Like, it's not as if Grindr is a central part of this, but it's of course sort of what it felt like. And it definitely works as a horror book. I thought it was really well done. Look at the 25 minutes. We're making amazing time here, people. And I'm probably talking way too fast. Something is Killing the Children. I got this arc. It was a graphic novel. I have a shit ton of graphic novels, and I read very few of them. I guess I'll give it ominous. I mean, actually, no. I think some of the art is actually pretty disturbing. Which, on that note, I did not include here, but what was it called? A Walk Through Hell? I should have included it, and I'm not going to because it's too late now. Or maybe I will at the end, but It is a collection of like a full collection of graphic novels, and I thought it was actually pretty disturbing as well. But I've yet to finish it though. Mexican Gothic, ominous Gothic, but never is it? I mean, I don't fucking know. It's not scary. I didn't expect to get it disturbing, but there are certain aspects of the story that lean into a disturbing aspect. The way in which the author uses certain mechanics. But I'm going to go with ominous. Oh, something Midnight at the Multiplex, series of like 80s film homage short stories. I'll give it disturbing. Why not? I didn't love this. It was like a hit and miss, mostly meh. The Road was solidly disturbing. Was it? Would you call that scary? No. So I added these words to be clear. I feel like if I just said "wrecking scary books" and then gave it 3 stars, three skulls is not to say your book wasn't scary. Like some is scary, some are disturbing, and like there's the amount of scary, the amount of disturbing is like there's an overlap there. Kind of what do you call it? There's bubbles that overlap. 2 different things that I had to encompass together. That makes sense. But that's that. Let's see if I can find Walk Through Hell cover comic. Let's do this. Oh, fuck it. It's gonna be too hard. Let's just call that what it is. So this is it. This is my ranking of all these books I've read this year. Honestly, I did not expect a ghost story to be on top. I knew it might be. I think part of it's just because it's hard for me to get truly terrified, and the conditions were just right for that book. The alternative is going to be a ghost story tonight when I get towards the ending. I'm hoping it'll surely scare the fuck out of me. Will it? I don't know. But that's that. Are there any questions in regards to these books or in general? Otherwise, I'm going to call it quits and say thank you so much for joining. And I hope you enjoyed this live production. And for those of you who are here after, thank you for watching. If you made it to the end and we're not still on the live, go ahead and put a skull in the comments. But I know you can't do that in the live version. What's the name of the book next to Del Toro Church? Wait. Okay, books next to Del Toro. Now I've lost. Book next to Del Toro, Son of a Biscuit. Where did I put? Oh, I see now. Mexican Gothic and the Guild of Stories. Is it the Guild of Stories or is it Mexican Gothic? Yeah, Friday Black is very good, but so is it Mexican Gothic or would it be the Guild of Stories? Mexican Gothic is the one about almost like it reminded me a lot of Rebecca. Someone moves in, a new wife moves in, but it's more like a cousin comes to visit her cousin who moved into this house, and something's wrong with her. She seems to be ill, and she's trying to figure out why. Weird things are happening. Oh, to the left. That's the Guild of Stories by Jewel Gomez, and Erica from the Broken Spine and I will be doing a live on next Sunday, I think, the first weekend. Not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So I guess the second weekend of November. It's, like I said, it is a vampire story, a queer vampire story about a Black queer woman who is turned to a vampire after she escapes the plantation, slavery in the antebellum South. And her stories after she adopts this name of her creator and as she's living her life as a vampire. It is similar, I think, to The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, but it's far less dark. Like, Anne Rice uses these creatures as very morally gray to evil characters. And in this one, we see a similar situation, a sort of a reverse situation where our characters are being driven by a certain need for morality, where they have an idea of what's just and what's right, and they don't want to cross that line and become a monster. And I think from the, the commentary I've heard from the author about the book is that that's what she was trying to go for, present an alternative view of what a vampire could be, and specifically what a Black queer vampire could be. From 1991, I think. I think it's considered a queer classic. Thank you. Sorry. It's very I'm very thirsty and this is very hot. Thank you for coming for my Skull Ranking book tag. I am Moira Rose signing off. Thank you. Bye, y'all.